Welcome everyone to another episode of Tea, Fight, and Tactics. I am, of course, Impetuous Panda, part of the Rising Legends broadcast team, and I'm joined today by the winningest player in Golden Spatula Cup history. That is, of course, Sasa, or 5454, like some people that don't know you like to call you. How are you doing, Sasa?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
So we want to get a bit into your gaming history, your background. First, on a personal level, what can you share with our viewers in terms of who you are outside of TFC?
Oh yeah, I'm a 24-year-old boy from Germany. Yeah, I love to play teamfight tactics and I also love swimming. I did that a lot as a child. Used to competitively swim. And yeah.
So sports and esports. That's a good combo. A healthy combo for sure. Not many, I think, players subscribe to that combo, so definitely glad to hear that you do. Going to your gaming background though, what did that look like? Were you always competitive? Were you always into kind of strategic games like TFT? Was it something completely different growing up? What was your background like?
Oh, when I started playing games, like the first competitive game was probably like Halo Reach on the Xbox. And RuneScape actually, PvPing. So yeah, then I got into like the esports kind of thing, competing, being the best of my friends, even in school, playing Mario Kart against my friends, and it's always who's the best and stuff. So I kind of grew up with that, and yeah. From then I played all kinds of games. Mostly I played League of Legends. I played ADC, but usually I wouldn't stick with it. I always get to masters and then just dip. I used to do that with TFT as well, but yeah, ever since the TSC's out, I'm invested in the game.
I like what I'm hearing. I also played RuneScape growing up. I played also FPS games. I was also very competitive, so I think we have a lot of similarities, except for the part where you are obviously one of the best TFT players in the world, and I'm aspiring to get there. But coming into TFT itself, your history with the game, you mentioned you at the beginning were just playing to get to Masters, maybe on a more, I would say, casual competitive level. When did that change for you? When was kind of that turning point where you suddenly said, hey, I'm pretty good at this game, I want to try and aspire to more?
Yeah, I mean, some people call me an old school player. How do you say?
Yeah, like an old guard kind of.
Yeah. So yeah, I used to play set 1, set 2, set 3, but I think I played for Challenger and then just left. I used to always do this with games. I just hop to games, learn them really quick, and just go to the next. And this has been the first time where I just stick with it, and so far it's going great.
Was it with a specific set where that changed and you wanted to stick with it more? When was that turning point?
Yeah,
was it with Rising Legends or?
Yeah. It was actually the German TSC. So, and some of my friends were oh, you gotta come back to TFT. The new set is gonna be so fun. They play tested it and stuff. And yeah, then I saw the TRC final, the first TRC final, and I'm oh, I could do that as well. And then I started playing again. I played the qualifiers for the TRC, and I actually got in the first time I tried. And yeah, ever since then, I made a lot of friends online. And I have regular tournaments that I can play, so it's really easy to me to stick to the game. Always have something to grind for.
And your first relations with the German community, for example, how was your reputation within it? Did you make friends very easily? Were you kind of this outsider? You mentioned you played from the very beginning, from set 1 and 2. So did everyone else kind of know you already and maybe fear you to some extent, or was it different?
I think the German scene, it basically didn't exist till set 5 or a bit after. Yeah, we were just all streaming, playing games, but never really talking to each other. In set 2, yeah, in set 2 and 3, we had this Discord in lobby 2. We used to play Counter-Strike for all these NA players and EU players, and that was kind of my bubble back then, I would say. And now it's just the German players Memo, Marks, Wega and stuff. Yeah.
Do you still have relationships with some of those NA players, for example, from back then, or not really?
Oh no, not at all. No.
I see. Well, I mean, the German crowd, I think, is definitely a good crowd to be with because you guys have been absolutely exploding in terms of results, in terms of achievements. The last 2 sets, especially, I think it's been a big surprise to me. I think Germany has always been among those powerhouse countries, but never eclipsing France. And now it seems to be the case every single tournament. It seems like the consistency is through the roof. And I think a big part of that has to be that TRC and has to be that kind of community aspect. Would you agree with that? Do you think, do you feel like grateful, let's say, or do you think it's a bonus for you as a player to be within this group?
Yeah, I mean, like when I joined that group, I was not really good at the game. Like, I was like really good at those micro stuff, like positioning, rolling down, but like I was so bad at macro, and they kind of taught me, and like I would say I'm pretty good now. Like,
we'll get to your achievements in a bit, but I would also agree. I think Sasa, you are pretty good now at this game. Is there anyone that you would say kind of was that mentor role in terms of learning macro and getting better at fundamentals within the German community?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like Ilya basically taught me like everything. Like he was like the boomer, like, and I was like the guy doing it really fast and stuff. So like when we used to like backseat it out in Discord, and like when we are together, like it was just unbeatable combo. Like we legit had like. Two average on ladder, like when we play together. Like it was insane.
The perfect match of Boomer and Zoomer. I like that combination. You guys have to shore up each other's weaknesses. That's good to hear. Coming into Rising Legends though, coming to set 6, this obviously drastically changed the panorama in terms of competitive in EMEA. Gone are the days of eggs being rewards for EMEA finals, and then we had bigger prize pools. We had a much more established and structured circuit. Was this a big motivation to you as a player to start grinding more and kind of taking it a bit more seriously?
Oh, I don't know. Like it used to be like German TRC is what I want to go for, and we like have a lot of other tournaments in Germany. Like the A1. I don't know if you heard it, but it's like a big Austrian tournament and stuff. Like those two were like the thing I was aiming for. Like. You know, Worlds always seemed like so far away, and like then I played like regionals, and then I'm like, okay, like if I make a few less mistakes, I can like make it to Worlds. So like, yeah. But what was the question again?
If the whole Rising Legends circuit and all that being more established, if it motivated you to compete,
I always drift off.
Okay.
Yeah. It definitely did. Like now I'm always like excited for GC, like prepping, and I want to get back to regionals so bad. So like I really want to play regionals. Like it's my only goal right now, and yeah, I would say it helped me a lot having like this structure.
And of course, we are now in set 9 in Runeterra Reforged. We had Rising Legends in the beginning in set 6. In set 8, you managed to win your first Golden Spatula Cup. How was that feeling overall? Did you finally feel like, hey, you know, I belong at this level where I can win tournaments? Was it a surprise to you? What was your confidence level at when that happened?
Oh, like my goal was make day 3, so I can make another day 3. And like when I got to day 3, it was like I played really casually actually. Like my goal was already achieved, and then like I started like winning games, and I like starting to shake. Like, what the fuck? I can win the tournament, and yeah. Then I won it, and yeah.
And you won it, and then you won it again. GSC number 1, set 9. You became once again champion, and you're the first player to ever do that. Of course, we had Double 61 winning both or 2 EMEA finals, but with GSCs being a newer edition from set 6 onwards, you've been the only player to win 2 different tournaments. It's obviously incredibly difficult to do, you know, not taking away from your skill level or your talent as a player, but there is some level of variance in TFT. The players you're facing are incredibly strong as well, incredibly prepared. There's no, you know, I think the level of competition has risen constantly every single set since the very inception of TFT. And you've managed something that I would have thought was either impossible or very difficult, and you've done it very quickly in back-to-back sets. How was that feeling? Do you feel like it's an incredible thing that you did?
Oh, I was like just happy that I qualified for regionals. Like winning GC it felt good, of course, and but like my only goal was making like the Rising Legend finals. I would say regionals for some reason.
Goal accomplished.
Yeah.
Is there anything you did specifically in terms of prep that you think differentiates you from other players? Is there anything that you...
Yeah, I mean, like when I played my first Rising Legends final, it was like when I like reviewed my games. I think I played very solid. When I got like greedy a few times. Like I lost like a few plays from here and there which made me miss the final day. And like that was kind of a wake up call. Like that, like I need to like play aggressive and build strong boards at the same time. So like finding like the perfect balance is my only focus, and I think like I achieved a good level of it right now, where I'm like I'm saving a lot of HP with like small like micro things like good positioning, and like I'm also like building strong boards that can win lobbies, and that was my prep, and then it's just like going through match histories and stuff, looking at stats, like learning the meta, and like good fundamentals. And that are my focus.
Looking back at GSC number 1 and just past tournaments that you've prepped for, do you feel you have any kind of specific meta reads that other players or the majority of the bulk of the player base does not? Do you think you have an edge in that case, or do you think it's just solid fundamentals?
I think I'm like pretty bad like at like this meta stuff. Like I think I just I just like to play like strong boards and build the best possible board out of the money I have. And like usually I like get like top 4 in like really rough games, and like I think those games like make me stand out from the rest, because like if I play well in those games, I get a Warwick augment, go first, and GG's.
I think many top players have said multiple times that one of the strongest skills you can have as a player in TFT is being able to salvage those 7s, those 6 into top 4s. I think that's definitely something you do very well. I've seen you in pretty terrible spots in some GSCs, and still you manage to claw back into that top 4 and just have consistent points throughout the days. And then, as you mentioned, some games you just high roll. You have that very strong augment, very strong opener, and those you just have to know how to capitalize and get it first. And if you can do both things, then yeah, you're set to be a GSC champion like you have done 2 times. Coming into prep, we've talked about the meta and different having a good read on the meta, and that part of that is also stats. Stats have been removed. What is your general opinion? How have you taken this the past few weeks now that I've not had stats on ladder? How has your experience been?
Oh, I'm like usually the stats hater. Like when I'm arguing with someone, they always pull up the stats, and I'm like, oh no, I can't take this. Like but yeah, like there's still some underground stats, let's say. Like there's still some websites. But I think like those will hopefully get removed in the future, and I'm like really for that change, like to stats be gone, because I don't know, it's like you want to pick what makes sense and not what is it has the best stats. And like I mean, right now when you have stats, you have to make like the perfect balance between like picking a good augment and like what makes sense. But I feel like I would profit more as a player if it just makes sense. Like
so it's all selfish reasons, so I got it. But no, it makes sense. I think if you have a good fundamental understanding of the game and you've kind of iterated enough times throughout different sets, you start getting a very good read on what might be good, what might be bad, and that could give you an advantage over the other players who, like you mentioned, do maybe more blindly follow the numbers and not think for themselves. So interesting to see. We'll see how that affects GSC2 for sure, and the performance of different players. Coming to GSC2, of course, this video is going to be aired during this tournament, and this is a preview to that. How's your prep been? How are you feeling about the meta, about this current patch? Are you feeling confident?
Did I? Yeah, I played the TSC one day. Like I think I got like second on the day. I think like I feel pretty confident. I'm not a big fan of the pitch, let's say it like that. I think there are a lot of like the free top 4 kind of things where you just you hit it. Like for example, like Shimmer pilled over to 1. Like the game just plays itself. There's like very little skill involved. It's like the same like with those hero augments I had in last GC. Like I know, like I just click them, and like it's the game plays itself. So I'm not a big fan of those.
Despite not liking the patch, do you think the patch is maybe one of the better patches this set? Do you think there's been better patches before this one?
I think it's like on par with the others. Like there's always been some issues. It's like usually the same end of the set. We have like the very good patches like in regionals and stuff. And like I mean, as a player, you have to adapt to those kind of things, which I'm usually not that great at. Like I'm a player who, like, if there's a bad patch, I just like don't play, or like play really bad in ladder, like don't adapt and stuff. But yeah, I think yeah.
You mentioned your tournament results with the different GSCs. We haven't talked about ladder at all, though. Do you feel you play ladder as seriously you do in tournaments? Do you feel kind of there's a differentiation between those two play styles for you? How has your ladder experience been overall in TFT, and more specifically in this set?
Like ladder is kind of rough for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm usually like in a call, or like really unfocused. I think like, especially now that I like made the regionals, like my motivation kind of falls off. But yeah, I think like ladder for me is just like getting in like the reps, let's say, like just playing the comps a few times, getting a feel for it, and like tournaments, I'm just on a completely different mode. Like I just start to consistently position and stuff I usually don't do in ladder. Yeah, I think I definitely like need to work on my ladder. Like I usually like I get my rank 1 peaks like at the end of the set. I'm usually like in the top 10. Like when I enjoy the game, I'm usually high in the ladder. But I think like I need to be better. Like I think I can be better. And like I still need to like find my motivation. I think like.
You have to be careful with the curse of winning the first GSC, because it's happened many times where you qualify directly to regionals. Suddenly you go on vacation the rest of the set, and come regionals, you don't have those reps that you've mentioned. So
yeah, I'm still going hard. Like I want to make day 3 again. Like I still want to win for sure.
That's good to hear, especially as kind of the bigger picture of not just making it to regionals, but you being on your absolute best form, especially being, in my opinion, one of the best players in the MEA for our own representation, possibly at Worlds. I do like to hear players, giving it their all and always trying to be focused and trying to, aspire to more and have these grandiose ambitions. You mentioned Worlds earlier in the interview, and that being kind of a very, dream that was very, very far away from ever happening. Now, I think you've proven to yourself you're a very consistent tournament player. I think those dreams are maybe going to become reality soon. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like this is an actual thing you can aspire to?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I played regional. I played the Rising Legends finals, and like I realized it's not that hard. Like for to reach Worlds, like you just have to be good enough. Like TFT is of course a game of variance. But like I can tell you now, like, there's not been a single tournament where I dropped out and I couldn't have made it. Like I always review my games with my friends, and we always find solutions. So yeah, I think like if you're good enough, this might be a hot take, but you're going 90% Worlds. Like no.
I'll hold you up to that when a few months from now.
Maybe, it depends. Maybe I'm not good enough.
Well, I think for now you've proven you are, but we'll see as these months unfold and as the rest of this set concludes. Coming into Worlds, talking about Worlds and talking about EMEA, we've had fairly lackluster results the last few sets ever since TFT has become, I think, a bit more official as an esports in set 6 or so. EMEA has not really been up to par with the top regions, China obviously, and North America even. Last set with Replay doing a great job and winning the championship. Do you think there's any specific reason for this? As someone that competes at a high level, what do you think is missing for EMEA to pop off?
It's rough. I don't know. I actually don't know. Like when I watch Worlds, Like I'm usually like the critique, like the football fan sitting in this room, like always complaining. What is he doing? Like,
When I'm not
this
casting,
guy-
it's the same. Believe me.
Yeah, like. But I don't actually know what is missing. I think like we just need time, like develop those TRCs more. Like and I think one big weakness like Europe has is like that we are like split. Like we are like basically like a bunch of small regions. Like we have this one big ladder, and I think like we have probably maybe the best server to practice on. But like the groups of players who like practice with each other are probably not that strong as in other regions. Like for China, for example, like I know, like in One Worlds they had like a really strong study group where like 3 of them went to finals and stuff. So yeah, maybe that is the reason. I don't actually know, but yeah, I think like Europe needs a bit of time. I feel like.
I completely agree with you. I don't know if you've watched other interviews, but when the topic has come up, it has been very close to what I've been saying for a long time. I think there is obviously maybe just less exchange of information than other regions, and the absolute peak of players are separated among different countries. And if those were to get together, I think overall the level would increase, I think, more rapidly. But we'll see if that changes, if different players from different countries maybe try to make the Avengers of EMEA and we'll see some better results. Maybe you'll be among those Avengers. But time will tell. Hopefully Set 9 will have a different tune being sung during the tournament. Talking about kind of these changes and maybe up and coming players, I wanted to ask you, is there any player that you think hasn't really gotten much recognition yet, but is bound to get it in the next few sets, maybe this set or maybe the next set? Any kind of players that you think are young or maybe newer to the game, but are rapidly, kind of elevating their game?
I think the Yelusaur, like who won France, like I think like he's a player to look out for. I think he's really good, and yeah, like there's not really any names from like out of Germany that pop into my mind. I'm not into that scene, of course, but like from the Germans, I think we have Memo. Like he always get day one, but like he's actually like a really good player. I think it's a big mental thing for him. I hope like that he can show this GC that he's a good player. And then we have like I think Silas from Germany. So also really strong player. He has been high in ladder. Like last set he was like one tricking like mascots.
I know.
Yeah.
The moment you mentioned him, one thing came to mind.
Yeah, but I think like he can actually play the game. And let's see how he does this GC. I think he's good. Yeah.
And on the flip end, it's something I ask every single player that I've interviewed for Teamfight and Tactics. I want you to give me your top 5 players in EMEA history. This could be peak performance, it could be historical performance, it could be impact overall in terms of content creation or community figures. It's up to you to decide, but your top 5 most important players in EMEA's history.
Yeah, I mean, it's like always the same. Like, Double, King, Voltarius, like I don't know, like the most influential people for me, like I can maybe say. Yeah, okay, like I actually need to think about this a bit. But yeah, like back in the day when I was first learning the game, it was like Dark Hydra, Salvi, right? Those are the players I learned the game from basically. But I think like Dasik actually, like he actually started playing the set again and got through open qualifier. So I'm really excited to see him play as well. Like we have actually been practicing with him. So maybe we are forming the Avengers. Like let's get a few more
little
players.
by little.
Yeah. Yeah, and probably like Ilya and like I don't know, Solo Gesang maybe. Like those are the like players I learned the most from, and like I can still do my top 5, but it's always the same for everyone. I feel like it's like Double, Ging, I think Coco deserves a spot for sure. double Ging, Coco, I think Enzo.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, he just one set, but I think like he's really, really good.
Mhm.
He already deserves a spot. And then it's probably Volta, like 5 French, 5 French players. It's a bit sad, but yeah.
Maybe in historical importance, but I think in a few sets this list might change, and I think a few more Germans will be joining those ranks. We talked about individual level with players, but now just briefly over with the country, we talked about it a bit already with France and Germany. But what is your opinion on EMEA scene in terms of regional disparity, in terms of the kind of the regional strengths? Germany has been rising like crazy, in my opinion, in terms of obviously the depth of players that we see in GSCs and on ladder, especially in top 20. There's always so many German players. But also, I think the peak level of these German players is very, very high. I think you're a clear example of that. What are your general opinions about the different regions? Do you think Germany is right now considered the strongest region in EMEA?
Oh, I don't think we are the strongest. I think like the French players are still the best. Like I think they actually have the better top end of players, and we have like the numbers, let's say. But yeah, I think like the Polish players are also really good. Yeah, I think those are like us three are like the best regions, and I think everyone would agree. I feel like.
And who comes after?
Who comes after?
There's only one right answer.
It's Spain.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. It took you a while, but you got there. So now Casper bless you for GSC number 2. Before I let you go, Sasa, any shout outs you want to give? Anyone you want to thank? I know you've mentioned already a few names, like Elia, for example, that have helped form you as a player, and I think most of the German community as well. But any other thanks you want to give? I know your girlfriend, you have a candle lighting ritual that I've heard of.
Yeah, the candle is actually right here. It's still strong for the next GSC. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do a few shout outs. I guess ours comes first. Is my family. They are very supportive. My girlfriend also really supportive, and yeah. Then like we have like the German players I practice with. And then we have like the people who watch my stream, and like I see cheering in the tournament chats. Like I think big shout outs to those guys. And yeah, that's probably it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sasa. Thank you so much for your time, for your insight, and telling you more as a person. I think has been really great. I got to know you a bit in Malaga as well during the Invitational, but here in an interview format as well. It's great to hear from you, and best of luck in GSC number 2. Best of luck assembling the Avengers, and best of luck, hopefully doing well in regionals and making it to Worlds and making our region proud.
Thanks.